Welcome to Conversations with the USA Racewalking Foundation.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another talk with USA Racewalking Foundation. Today, we're lucky enough to have Edwin Richardson. And Edwin, can I call you Ed? Because that's my
Yes,
dad's
you
name.
can. Yes, it's fine.
All right. So, Ed, you come to us as a candidate to be racewalking chair, and you have quite an established resume coming into this. So, first of all, you are the current vice chair of the USATF Racewalking Committee. And you've been doing that for 4 years. But that's not all you've done. You've worked your way up through the system. You were secretary for 9 years, which is a thankless job, but all the detail-oriented stuff, so you know what's going on. And you were a coach, not just of race walking, which started around 2006, is my understanding, but all the way back to 1990, you've been coaching at a high level for all of track and field. And that gives you sort of a unique perspective that someone like myself, who's just a race walking nerd, doesn't have. Would you like to say anything else about yourself before we jump into things?
Well, I think that this varied background that I bring is what works for me as an advantage, because I know the world of the NCAA at a very intense level, and I've had to use it as people would react to race walking and say, "Oh, it's race walking," and but when we talk about something like football or we talk about whatever. I played for 5 years at Penn State, a little known fact. And people would react to that
You played
as,
football at Penn State?
yes, I did, on a full
Wow.
scholarship.
Okay.
Right. So people would say in the race walking world, but that doesn't have anything to do with race walking. But the true answer is, yes, it does. In that I had to learn intense body conditioning and also rehabilitation for injury and injury avoidance. But usually we didn't get to that answer because they're stuck with, well, football is football, and that's all. No, it really isn't. And that had a lot to do with it. So yes, I brought that to the house, and I think that serves me well in that I can talk to the D1 coaches. I can talk to any coach because of what I did, and what I played.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that communication is really important. I should point out as we're going through, I've done an interview with Alan James. I did an interview with Ron Daniel, but Ron has since dropped out. So it is now a two-person race. And so let's go into the first and most important question. Why do you want to be chair?
Chair gives me the opportunity and gives Racewalk an opportunity to have a very serious continuity. Having been involved in racewalking in all of the levels, up until the chairmanship, of course, but I know how that progression has gone, especially with the changes that have happened at USATF national office over the past 10 years or so. And to run this type of organization, you must understand what is and why it's important that there be continuity. Yes, I have seen people come in with a lot of strength and initiation that they wanted to be in charge, and that presented a little bit of stress because USATF national office is in charge, and therefore I feel that I best present this continuity that's necessary.
Okay, great. We'll talk about USATF in a little bit, but let's start with a very positive note, which any person running should have a plan, and you have presented a new kind of systematic approach and an action plan to move race walking forward, because frankly, everyone was upset that we had nobody at the Olympics. It was not for one reason or just that the athletes were bad. There were a lot of different things in motion that all led to us not having someone there. So we'd all like to see Olympians in 2028. What is your approach and action plan to get us there?
You ask the hard point question, and it really is the question. If you don't have the athletes, you don't have race walking, in that you can't really stand up and brag about what race walking is compared to the sprints or wherever gold medals are being earned, on a regular basis. In order to change that kind of culture, I tried at first to do that from within and make suggestions, but I found there was a lot of resistance to suggestions from what was viewed as a non-race walk type person, in that I came from the world of high intensity athletics in the NCAA. And from that, what I've figured is that we have to allow the athletes that are coming through the ranks now a much greater opportunity to experience training under an international type system and the precision that's demanded. Not just the standard put the right foot in front and land on the heel and the left foot in front back and that transitional, but the intensity of training is very, very, very different. And so I want to invite and regularly invite international athletes to either come and train with our athletes or to model for them. And that would be the same approach that I would want to use in the coaching. Have people have a chance to hear what coaches have to say, and that would allow everyone to elevate their game. Okay, because it's not non-threatening. If the athletes are, from from Canada, for instance, they don't represent the U.S. But if we can't keep up with them, this is a way that athletes will adjust. I have confidence that athletes will adjust if they see that they're not marching along as fast as someone else. Their first question to their coach, what can I do to go faster? And there needs to be an answer to that question. How can I go faster with greater intensity in my lungs? So that is the crux of the action plan. I want to have a much more robust opportunity available for the athletes. And robust will take many forms. We will tease that out when I have meetings with first with the athletes and also with the support staff and the executive committee. And those that wish to be part of that, and there are many, will have an opportunity to be part of that.
Great. All right. Well, that kind of rolls to my next question, which I alluded to earlier. So you're going to have these wonderful plans and they look great. And everyone says, yeah, we would like that opportunity. And there's the elephant in the room, which is USATF controls the purse strings, controls the politics, says what you can and can't do. So what is your strategy to bend USATF to the will of race walking? Because we do know, like those of us that have been around, it's not unknown that they care about medals at the Olympics. And, I was just interviewed 2 days ago and they asked me, do you see us getting a medal in 2028? And, we opened with, let's get Olympians in 2028, right? And, and I'm working with someone and our long-term goal is top 10 in 2032, right? So how do you tell USATF invest funds, invest infrastructure, invest effort into race walking when it's a long-term process to get to the podium?
That is a fabulous question. The first part of it is easy. As a secretary, I worked with 3 different chairs, and ranging from my way or the highway to completely laissez-faire, let it go any way it goes. And with Diane, who has worked very well in kind of maximizing what we can get from USATF. Not attack them, but working with them. And you point out where you have an opportunity to point out either corrections and adjustments, but you don't have to take the lead. You just show them what the correction and adjustment is. And by working with them, they will listen a little bit better. The fact that I came into race walking initially from a high-powered Division I, including record holders in steeplechase. That's a whole different package because my approach is always more intense and more business-like. It's something it's just part of me. I don't advertise it, but I do it. So we have a system that is in place right now, and there are athletes that are in the process of becoming U.S. citizens, and there are actually athletes who are tremendous athletes, but they feel they didn't get good support. I will work in all of those kinds of domains with USATF to try to see that there is a pathway by which we can have athletes who will be ready for 2028. That is it's a big one, but it doesn't matter. I think it can be done. You know, if we have the right kind of discipline, we have the right kind of intensity with the athletes, and USATF believes that the leader of the organization understands what is involved in that complexity. And I do understand it because I lived it, you know, and that is something that you absolutely have to have, and you can't come in laterally 15 or 20 years later and say, well, you know, I can do. No, you can't come in and do, because USATF is not the same organization. And so that's very important. But even with the action plan, it can't be the same old can of beans. It has to be a different kind of intense approach. And I just very briefly stated what I will bring to the table.
Okay, great. So on that note, when somebody becomes chairperson, right, it will be you or Alan. Let's say you win, you're going to put a team together and an infrastructure. And can you describe how you would put your organization together and what that would look like?
At this moment, it's harder for me to tell that part of it because I haven't been focused on looking in the soul of everybody on the executive committee at this moment. However, I believe that the executive committee has people who are very focused and would like a chance to work with a knowledgeable and intense leader, not necessarily who uses the same tried and true method, but who understands what it takes to have someone walk in a way that they've never walked before. Race walk, that is.
So if I can quote your nomination statement, you talked about delegating authority and different things like that. So that's what I was alluding to. Like, you know, there's the way people have tried before, and obviously we have not been super successful.
Right.
And now you're coming in, right? So I'm just, you know, if you had any details on how you were thinking about that, or we could just roll on to the last piece, which is, I think, very unique and interesting. Most people do not know your background as a coach, and specifically race walking, and I'll say specifically at an Olympic level. So you want to share the story that you shared with me about your very cool and unique coaching experience?
Okay, I've had an opportunity that is totally unique in the U.S., and it's based on having worked so closely with coaches and athletes from other countries. I actually have a very modest reputation for the intensity that I have as a coach. You'd never know it because I don't raise my voice and scream and all that stuff, but I am very focused on how I correct. And as coming to race walking from football, I understand what works faster and better than what doesn't work faster and better. And I see that intuitively. So this opportunity came about in 2021. The Colombia national team was intending to go to California to train and prepare for the Olympics. And instead, they called Solomia, whom I coached, and in another lifetime, she went to Colombia to train. That's where I learned about training at altitude, not just learned about it, experienced it working with a national coach, the late Fernando Rosa. And so the national coach asked to come to Philadelphia instead. It was on the low key. The only way you would know they were Colombians was they had luggage that was Colombian, but there were monsters in that group. The winner of the men's world championships in 2019, and the woman who holds a record that still exists of 42 minutes flat for a 10K as a junior. And the coach asked if, while they were doing their training, he noticed that I was taking videos, and I would talk to the athletes using a translator because I don't speak Spanish. And he said, I would like for you to work with our top athletes. I had the photos of us doing that, but it was fun for me because I knew them, the top men and the top women, and critiquing them. Well, this was my first learning of the actual athlete intensity. I knew what it should be from my previous life, but this was the first time that I saw it in race walking. They dropped their egos 100%. They were humble. They approached me all the time, and they were asking, Coach, what do you see? What do you see? How can I correct? What do you see? Here, it's a different attitude, a different mindset. And so that was my first notice. Secondly, for the young woman who was world class, everyone would say, your racing is a thing of beauty. But I watched her practice. And at 15K, invariably, she changed her technique because she had fatigue setting in. And I said to her at one point, we had a long talk, that you need to change this to really succeed. And she looked at me as though I had three heads. It was the first time I'd ever said anything that way. But she said, Coach, if I change now, the Olympics is in a month and a half. And I said, you are 100% correct. You have to race with what got you here. However, have you ever had 2.5 red cards? That's 2 red cards plus another caution, meaning you were about to get nailed. And she said, yes, that started to happen lately. And I said, it's because of this change that you do at 15K. Here is what I would like for you to do. Try it. And then ignore it. Put it in the back of your brain at the Olympics. But if at 15K you have 2 red cards, I am telling you what will allow you to finish that race strongly. And you need to remember that. Nobody would do that. But she did that. I got up at 4:30 in the morning to watch make sure I saw the Olympic race walk event. And at 15K, a look came into her eye when she saw that she had 2 red cards and that the people around her were being picked off and were going to the penalty zone. She changed her race walking style. Net result, first time ever in Colombia, she earned the silver medal in the Olympics and finished with a tremendous time. Excuse me. And I was honored to have been on that team. There is not another person in this country who can ever say, I coached a silver medalist in the Olympics. Okay, ever. And I don't speak the language, but I speak culture. I do speak German. I lived in Germany speaking only German for 3 years. Another unknown factor. You actually did that? Yeah, I did. And I drown proof in French, and I can speak a little bit of Japanese. And what happens is people who are of another culture recognize that I understand culture. And so they're more accepting of me when I speak. And so that is my story of a unique opportunity that taught me about intensity in athletes. She knew everything that had ever changed within 10 years. That is, how often, if I ask the question, how often does race walk technique change for the winners of the medals? Well, she knows that answer. And she could tell you exactly what those changes were. So there are students of the sport at an intense level that I think there's one athlete, and he and you probably know because I said he, but he has trained throughout the world. He recognized right away what I do as a difference. And that is the thing that I would challenge the committees or subcommittees, I would say, on how we will organize our approach to try to improve race walking. It's that kind of intensity, not just, I'm screaming and you have to listen, but here's what goes on among the people who are top 10 all the time in the world. You have no choice, but you have to listen because we don't have that.
I don't want to cut you short, but the construction guys just showed up at my house again, so we're
That's
gonna
okay.
we're gonna have to.
I will occasionally embellish. I get a little,
No, it's all good. I said 20 minutes. We're right on about 20 minutes. I'm going to leave one other fun fact about you that nobody knows. That you are a karate man. You're a multi-black belt karate guy, and that just tells me again that you have a broad-based sport knowledge base, right? That's going to help with whatever you do. So we wish you the best of luck in running for chair. I have no horse in this race. Both you guys are my friends. I am merely providing a platform for people to get to know you. So good luck, and we'll find out at the end of the month.
And I really and truly appreciate the opportunity, Jeff. This is a great thing that you are doing.
Awesome. Take care.
All right. Thank you.